is
It's gonna be good.
now that we're about to
second
certify the budget, that here's what we're gaining, here's what we're losing, and here's the status of that. And like, to me, it would be for the current budget that we're approving.
Actually, that's
What? Oh. It's okay,
so
we'll help
emotional
you.
that it's her last meeting.
Going
She
out with
just can't even
fireworks,
handle it.
Welcome to the May 7th, 2024 meeting of the East Bridgewater School Committee. I will take a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Alan. Second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as always, thank you to EBCAM for recording and live streaming our meetings. I'm told we have guests tonight,
Yes, we have,
that they should go first.
yes, we have Senator Mike Brady and Jimmy Valentin, his aide, here with us as a special surprise. Welcome.
Thank you, and if we can have the children come forward, please.
Oh, you've done something now, well,
Most people, when they hear they get a citation, they think they're getting in trouble. This is good stuff. So I have both, I know I represent Allison Sullivan and Rosemary Katz can make it tonight, they said Shirley's engagement, so I'm gonna present the one, everything starts in the House of Representatives. So this is a citation from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the House of Representatives. It hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Lauren Foster in recognition of your 3 years serving the East Bridgewater Public School District as chair and member of the East Bridgewater School Committee. And this is signed today, May 7th, 2024, and it's signed by the Senate, the House, Chairman of the House, the Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano, and your favorite Representative Allison Sullivan. So congratulations. And then we have one from the State Senate. This is an official citation, be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Lauren Foster in recognition of your 3 years of service in the East Bridgewater School Committee as a committee member, current chair, dedicated to fostering student well-being and success. This is signed by the Senate President Karen Spoker, the clerk Michael Hurley, and myself, Mike Brady. And again, thank you for your service and congratulations. We'll both up and
Do the other one?
When I was a lot younger and thinner, I served in the school committee. I didn't have any gray hairs, that's good. Smart, but any help I can be, we just, the governor released her budget, and the House released their budget, and the Senate released the budget. So we're all looking to increase funding for public education. We fully fund the Student Opportunity Act and the Chapter 70 money, so. But moving forward, we're gonna be debating it in another week or so, so please don't hesitate to contact us, okay?
Thank you very much.
Matter of fact, I know most of you have my contact info, but you can spread most people know how to get a hold of me, but congratulations, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the day.
Lauren, before you just get on to moving on with any other things, those of us in the committee also just wanted to give you a little thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you so much.
And now, we move on to Lilia.
Everyone. Gotta follow up. At the Central School, tomorrow they have their Welcome to Kindergarten Parent Night for the class of 2037. So that should be exciting for them. Got a long way to go, but it's a good introduction. The Spring Fling Dance that's hosted by the Central School will be at the high school on Friday night from 5:30 to 7:30. At the middle school, the grade 4 math carnival is all day this Friday, and the spring concert will be on the 28th, as well as the talent show and senior stroll on May 30th. The grade 5 career fair will also be on the 31st of May. And then going into the high school, it's the last few weeks for seniors. AP exams are ongoing. Today was statistics and tomorrow's literature. Junior prom was last Friday at the Canoe Club, and then this Friday is seniors, same place. So we're excited, and spring sports is still going. A lot of teams are looking to play postseason, so excited for that. And yeah.
How many exams do you have left, Lilia?
I have 2, tomorrow and Thursday, so not too bad.
So statistics tomorrow,
Lit tomorrow,
lit
literature.
tomorrow,
And
and,
then environmental science on Thursday.
well, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lilia. And I think you have one more meeting, maybe,
I think so.
but I do not. So I wanted to, with the committee as it is right now, we just wanted to say thank you
Thank you.
for joining us.
Great job.
Superintendent's Corner.
You're not really retiring, you're just taking a hiatus, so I'll take retirement out of
I mean,
this
I
process.
could come back. You never know. You never know.
Thank you for your work, your passion for our district, and all the support that you've given me and the team throughout your tenure as chair and on the school committee. This is not an easy board to sit on. I think a lot of people, because they've gone to school, think they understand everything that goes on in the schools and know how to handle the budget and handle the policies. And it is difficult, so I thank you for all your hard work, and I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing your kids out on the field and in school and doing well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just have a few things. Just May 13th on Monday night is the annual town meeting, and we hope that people come out and vote. On May 18th, 2024 are the town elections, and there'll be some new school committee members, and there will be, I think, 3 people on the school committee ballot. So we hope people go out and vote for town elections. On May 21st, 2024, we'll have the school committee reorg meeting. And this Saturday in Plymouth, Diversity, DEI Career Fair, Diversity in Education Career Fair. I'm going to go down to the 1620 hotel, and Scott Need from Carver, the superintendent of schools, wrote a grant for a career fair to promote and to try to recruit a diverse workforce. And so I will be going down representing the district. Dr. Williams was at BSU last week representing the district with BSU, brought back some resumes. So we spoke today on a few of areas that we need some help in. I know that Jay had sent over what we need in special needs, and waiting for the principals to send up what they're really looking for. And hopefully we get a diverse population that comes out, and more people, and whoever it is, we hope that they do come out in Plymouth. It is from 10 to 2 at the Hotel 1620 down in Plymouth, so I will be there on Saturday. I'm not sure, Doctor, did you, a lot of kids or a lot of graduates approach and?
Yes. Well, we had 2 former East Bridgewater graduates that are graduating from BSU in education, so they stopped by my table, as well as a number of BSU and Stonehill students who have done observation hours, intern hours, practicum hours, student teaching, and it was nice to see that they're very interested in a position at Central School or Mitchell School or the high school, so they had a great experience when they were here. I received probably about 60 resumes across the district, so I shared those with the principals when I returned, so it was a really good turnout.
Good. Which is great. I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Williams to talk about strong instruction for a few minutes. I think she's going to hand out, or already had
Yep.
handed out. Have her talk, then I'm just going to come back when you get to the FY '25 budget, Lauren, just because we did get some information on Friday.
Okay.
From Desi, and I'll let Jay talk about it, because it's in the special education world, circuit breaker.
Sure.
So, Doctor?
Great. So I hope it's okay I adjusted things a little bit because I know our timeline was a little off with sharing strategic plan updates. It got pushed a little bit. So I figured what was best was to share something connected to strong instruction. Certainly just as important as strong instruction is the strong instructors, educators that we hire to work with our students. So I thought it would be nice to share that with you this evening, knowing we've been making some renovations to our process. And then if it's okay with the committee, I'd like to recommend that the June 4th meeting is where I bring back strong instruction and assessment and monitoring progress together. And that way then we can share you the work that's been accomplished across the full year. So if that's okay. So in front of you is the packet, really from start to finish. The cover page is what should be completed by any recommending administrator when the packet is sent up. So Michael and I sat together to review this to make sure it has everything he also needs when he's doing the human resource side of getting new employees on board. But also it's making sure that the principals, the administrators, when they're sending up recommendation for hire, we have a complete packet because it is a tedious process and we want to make sure that we're not going back and forth on getting the documentation that we need. And Mr. Shea just pointed out, from his perspective, certainly knowing when we're hiring somebody, whether we're replacing someone to hire this person, was it based on a retirement, a resignation, the rationale and reasons so that he can make cross-references on the budget side of things. And just to make sure that we have consistency across the buildings, recommendations come from each school building, comes from pupil personnel office, comes from my office, so we want to make sure that we're all using a concise and a consistent process, right from the beginning of screening. So School Spring is where we most often will put the positions that are open, but we want to make sure whoever's looking at those resumes that they're using the same process as they're determining candidates that they're looking to bring in for interviews. So that first part is what to look for when screening resumes that come through. That part at the bottom is probably should be in bold because what's extremely important is making sure that we have, as the superintendent talked about, that diversity, not only maybe the candidate being diverse, but their experience being diverse, that they've worked with diverse groups of students from special education to students of different race, students with different gender identities. So any of those types of experiences that are seen on a resume should stand out to the administration as well, knowing that they have experience with many populations of students. The next part is the interview questions. It's recommended that every single time we're looking to interview a candidate, that it starts off with a team that's interviewing. So if it's at the building level, representation from the staff, from administration, depending on the position that's being interviewed for, certainly looking for somebody within that department so that we can have multiple people reviewing the candidates. And then recommendations from that would usually go into final rounds. But sharing with them the types of questions that should be asked, how ratings should be conducted, making sure we're not only asking questions about their academic experiences, but also their experiences with social emotional learning, their experiences with student behavior and management of that, and really what we can expect from them when they're in the classroom. The other piece, and I just didn't want to give you a blank piece of paper, but part of this will also be a writing component. Certainly, we know how important it is for teachers to effectively communicate with families, with students, with stakeholders, so maybe for us to be requiring a written piece, possibly even a communication home to families that could very well happen if the candidate is hired. And then lastly in the packet, you see the telephone reference check, making sure that this piece is conducted by 2 references. One must be the most current employer if they are currently employed or recently employed. We always ask the candidates before leaving if it's okay to get in touch, because we never want to surprise someone in another district that their educator is interviewing for a job. So we make sure that it's somebody we're serious about, somebody we're certainly considering for hire, and making sure that those reference checks are completed, and asking pertinent questions to give us a good sense of what their experience was like in the former district. So that's our most updated packet. As I said, you know, this is in draft form because I want to make sure the administrators have a chance to look at what the final product looks like, knowing this is something that they'll be working with. Most often, they're doing those reference check calls at the building level, so we want to make sure it's clear to everyone. But certainly, you know, it all falls down to recruiting the best candidates, so that we can retain the best candidates, and then ultimately deliver the strong instruction that we have focused in our strategic plan. So I thought it kind of fit with the theme of strong instruction. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Excuse me, Gina, when, in the interview process, I understand, obviously, you need information from the candidate. What kind of information do you convey about our district and about our town, or so that, sort of, why to work here kind of thing? What's good about our district kind of thing?
So typically when an interview is conducted, that's the very first piece, just giving them an introduction to the district. Certainly, depending on how familiar they are with us, we talk about the size, the buildings, the grade offerings at each of the buildings. We talk about the courses. I mean, if we're at this building, we talk about the courses that are offered, the levels of the courses that are offered. We talk a lot about the professional development, because certainly we want to know what their background and experience is with that. We talk about the strategic plan and what our focus areas are, and see what they can contribute to that. So really, it's important to talk to them about what we're currently doing, so that we can get a good feel for where they're coming in. You know, how much of a learning curve there's going to be for them based on what we've done, or how much they can impact what we're already doing based on their experiences.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Great.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thank you.
So I know you're gonna be talking about the budget in a few minutes. And I know that we, I did add in your packet from the town. I didn't put the letter in that we had sent up, Lauren. I also put
Yes.
in here what is printed in the town annual meeting book, and what all those numbers mean and where you're going with that. That Lucini, that it's 28,123,428, where Lucini Transportation is 1,093,300 of that, and where Southeastern Votech is $1,312,069 out of that. And as you heard the senator tonight, we did see that the Senate House and Ways and Mean Committee met last night. They did come up, it's right here, it's on this, the letter, and then if you go through the letter, on the second page, you'll see we just took out the pages from the town meeting book. Do you see it here? Yeah, okay. So, did you get it?
Yep.
Okay. So I just put all that in, just so you have reference to it as you go through tonight. And you'll hear the Senate, House, Ways and Means Committee. We were up at the Day on the Hill yesterday. Gordon and Ellen and myself went up. We got to hear some great speakers in the morning. We heard from the Senate, we heard from the MASC, what to ask and how to ask it. We did get to meet with Senator Brady's office, his representative. We didn't. Representative Sullivan Almeida was on her way to go into the meeting, so we did not meet with her. But we did see today that they did recommend an increase to our Chapter 70. We're looking at, from what we're seeing right now, like I said to John, but what I'm seeing is 146,000. John has to take into consideration some other things, so probably another 100,000 we're seeing. But that's, they have to vote on it, and then we'll have those final numbers. But that's always nice to know as going into town meeting. Also, on Friday, or Thursday or Friday of last week, I received some conversation, and I think that you had asked Mr. Shea and Mr. Phelan at the last school committee meeting if they had received circuit breaker reserve funds, or emergency reserve funds. We did get some paperwork on last Thursday from Russell Johnson, the interim commissioner, about can I just see that, Gina? I didn't get one. From DESI, just talking about how we get extraordinary relief. If a district demonstrates allowable FY '24 special education instruction tuition costs exceed FY '23 instruction and tuition costs claimed under the program by 25% to qualify for reserve relief. So we sent this out to you. We highlighted some areas. I spoke to Jay Fallon about it today, and I thought it might be just worthwhile to go through a very quick summary of what this means, how it can be used, what it will be used for, how John and he will discuss how they move forward with this money. Some of the monies, I think Jay will explain it, God bless you. Explain it, that if we use it, it'll come out of next year's budget, so you gotta pay for it now. But I think we're in good space, and it's nice that when you see something like this come in, you got some extraordinary relief funds. I think it's important for us as the district to remember that we are getting more funds, whether it's the Senate is increasing our Chapter 70 funding by another $100,000, that we got some extraordinary relief as we go into town meeting and as our budget has been recommended by FinCom. We put a lot of work into this. You put a lot of work into it. I just want to make sure that everybody understands, and I know that we had that conversation. I think Lauren was actually in the room with the town administrator about if there were a time that, that the district got some extraordinary relief funds and got more money, and that we agreed, or that the school committee agreed to take the FinCom's appropriated budget, that in October, if there was a need and there was funds available, that we could come back around. I believe that Mrs. Foster did push for that. I'm pretty sure it was you in that meeting pushing him, that said, hey, listen, there could come a time that, yes, everything looks great now and we're doing very well, but in October or November, we may need some help. Because you never know, as Jay Fallon's favorite quote is, you never know when someone pulls into the district and buys a home and maybe has a child that needs significant support. So, but these are all good news. I mean, we're getting good news today. We were up on the Hill yesterday, we got good news today. We also got good news from DESI on Friday. So, Jay, I don't know if you want to just talk just a little bit about how this works.
Sure. So our total relief, if you look at that letter that superintendent will go highlighted for you, our total relief is going to be $443,599. Part of this goes back to, I think, things we had talked about in a couple of meetings. So extraordinary relief is something that the state budgets every year. This year, they didn't budget enough, to be frank. So because there are a lot more districts who are applying for it, as our out-of-district costs have all gone up and transportation costs have gone up. So if you look at the breakdown in the letter, our extraordinary relief is a circuit breaker item, and that's $264,599. That's money that comes to the district through the circuit breaker line. It comes to us this month, actually. John and I will meet and talk about it some more, but that needs to be paid out by June 30th, so by the end of the school year. So we can use that money for out-of-district costs, we can use that money for some special education costs, but that needs to be spent by June 30th. Because they didn't budget enough, they went back into their reserve relief and took a portion of that. So for us, it's $59,747, and then we also qualified for the reserve relief line item, which is $119,256. For those two items, because they're coming out of the reserve relief, the money that, we'll get that money this month, that money that if we spend it now, it will come off of our FY '25 circuit breaker. However, we can also carry that money over in those two line items. We can carry that money over to June of 2025. So if we feel that we really need that next year, the beginning of next year, we can use that as well. All right? It's something we were able to qualify for this year. I mean, you never know what comes in the future, you know? But I think it's a nice piece for us to help out with our costs in the district. Any questions?
Excuse me, Jay,
Hey, John.
of all these numbers that are listed here in this particular paragraph, which one, if any, are the, wow, we didn't expect that this was over and above what we thought?
I don't know, Gordon, that any of them were a wow. I think John and I sitting down and working with our staffs, we knew we were gonna qualify for extraordinary relief this year.
So these numbers fit into what your projections were?
Yep.
No surprise there?
Mhm.
So it wasn't, I guess I'm overly optimistic, I guess I could, the wow could go the other way, like, no, we thought it was gonna be $900,000 and it came in at this, so these were right in the line with what you had projected out?
Yeah.
Oh, great, thank you.
But the nice part is we got it,
Yes?
is we got it.
Any other questions?
Just one question with regard to the additional, whatever it may be, $100,000 based on what gets approved or whatever. Essentially, that's good news for the town, because it's not so much that we're gonna spend another $100,000, it's that there's another $100,000 coming in from the state, so the town's contribution
For our
will be
Chapter
less.
70.
Right.
So that goes to the school district.
Goes to the school district, but it lowers the amount from the town?
Correct. Right? Well, it depends on how you look at it. If Mr.
Well, knowing that I'm totally optimistic.
Right, and I'm optimistic. If Mr. Seelig sees the money that comes in, and if it is voted upon and we get more money on our Chapter 70, then that money's going into our going into the school district budget. It's our Chapter 70. That is ours at the district level. If, right now, I think it was lowered, I think, what, 136,000, John, we're down to? It was 300,000 they asked to have back. I think we got the other 136, so we're about 136,000.
Yeah.
Lower. From the budget that the school committee has pushed forward to what the FinCom has appropriated. So we may come in line with that now. So, I mean, I believe that working with the town, as the chair has done and said, yeah, we'll come in and we'll do this, but I think she has put the caveat in that says, if this were to happen, these funds should be allocated back to the school system and to the department.
And in fairness, I do
Yep.
think that Mr. Seelig understands that that's
Oh, yeah.
how it generally works.
Yeah.
I didn't get any message from him, implied or otherwise, that wouldn't be how
Nope.
things go, so.
But the only way it would happen is another town meeting.
It's special town. meeting.
Special town meeting.
In October.
In October, yeah.
Well, what do we say, October, is late September, he said, in October, if we were to, and that's how we would get this money.
Is there a chance we could find out before town meeting that we would know for a fact?
No, because the senator was just here, I think he said it was the vote was next week at some point. So by the time that comes up, and I think that that's why it's fair to say that hopefully we do get the increase in Chapter 70, but I also think the chair put it on the table, talked to Mr. Seelig as we were all in the meeting, and I think, I agree with you. I think he understands that, the costs were higher than what we anticipated. We're grateful for the ARPA money. We're grateful for the support that the town gives us. However, we cannot determine what everything's going to look like as we move. This is a moving target. The schools, there's lots to do. There's lots of supports needed, the supports that children need and staff need. We have our agreements with the 4 units. We've got 3 almost ready to go, and 1 more that will take a little bit longer. We are right in lane with what we budgeted and anticipated for, and we continue to do that. And that's our role at the department, is to keep ourselves in check and understand that we want to treat people well who work for us, but we also know that we can't go so far right And that's not a political term, it's just saying so far right that we can't pay for something else on the left. So I think that the team has done a great job. I think the budget subcommittee has done a great job. But I certainly do think that if this money comes forward and we get it, and it gets deposited in the general fund account, I think Mr. Seelig would certainly honor that come October. I do. Lauren,
I do. I mean, I hate to make assumptions, because
Right.
there's a lot of time between now and then,
Right.
but as of the last time we spoke, I do think that that was understood.
And so just to be clear, what we're going to eventually vote on tonight is the amended budget of 26,811, roughly. That's the number.
Right.
And that doesn't, even though if we might get more money in chapter 70, that number is still gonna be the number.
right.
Right,
And you
okay.
received 12.8 million in chapter 70.
Right.
And right now, it looks like we're going up to 13,077,000 if this works out with the Senate Ways and Means. And that goes up to 13,077. So that means, we are asking the town to support the other $14 million. That's where you come up with the 28 million. You're getting chapter 70 state funding in one pocket, and then we're asking the town to subsidize that other pocket to move us forward. And that's where you get the 20 million. And reminder, and John made this clear to us the last time, just a reminder that in that 28 million, they have added Lucini bus lines at $1,093,300,000, and Southeastern VOTEC, the students that go there, at $1,312,069. So those are added in that 28,123,428.
Which is not, Southeastern is not part of our budget, just so everybody is clear.
That's part of net school spending.
They have, yes, it's included as the whole education lump, but we're not responsible for this, for the VOTEC budget. So it's not included in our budget.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So looking at that column, that starts with the 25,718,059.
Yes.
That number becomes 26,811.
Yes,
Okay, so that becomes that number. And then the aggregate number, total number at the bottom, still stays at the 28,123?
yes, because these two numbers, you kind of jumped ahead, just so you know,
Sorry.
Gordon, but it's okay, because we were gonna have this conversation anyway.
As long as I know you can't give me anything extra
So-
to do.
Not this time. No, so let me just back up a little bit so that everybody kind of understands how we got here. And I spoke to this a little bit at our last meeting, but just because we're doing it officially tonight, we certified a budget back in March. I had it written down.
Right here.
Of 27,129? Yep. Then, through the work of the budget subcommittee and John and conversations, we were able to reduce that number to 26,811,359. That number is what is on the town meeting warrant, which is not how that's supposed to happen. They're supposed to put our certified number on the town meeting warrant. We've elected to not make a big deal out of it because it is the number on the warrant is the number that we came to anyway. So it would be stupid to say, hey, you didn't use the right number, and then be like, oh, can we reduce it to the amount that you had it on there in the first place? It would just be kind of like a political maneuver. An exercise in legalities also, I guess. So what we need to do, in the conversation I had with council, where we were advised to just kind of save our fights for the bigger fights, he also recommended that we approve this new number together, just as a representation that we're all on the same page here, and that we agree that this is the number that is being put forward at town meeting. Any questions? I'm looking at you, because you look like you might have questions.
the number that we're talking about tonight is this 26 one?
It's the 26, 811, 359 one.
Okay, as opposed to, they're in, under council today, this is what
This is
their
the number
recommendation-
that they put on the warrant, and I spoke to Melanie, and it was just a misunderstanding. She thought we were gonna recertify, and we weren't gonna recertify, so here we are.
I just wish we knew for a fact, because I like, when the chapter 70 gets increased, because most likely it will be increased, we just don't know by how much.
And we don't know when, and we don't, there's no way, town meeting's on Monday.
Right.
So chances are we're not gonna have any more information than we have now.
This was, this was kind of discussed at, on Saturday, where we're approving a number that's yet provide us with all of the facts and figures from the state, so it's a bit of a process where it's a little bit of out of line, so to speak.
Right.
But it's the process.
And that's honestly the name of the game when it comes to town government. I mean, there's how many contracts outstanding right now, not in the schools, but across town? Maybe not right now, but historically, you know, the town has gone and approved a budget for a fiscal year that still has contracts outstanding, and they don't know. Then that's when people end up coming back to special town meetings and saying, I have contractual obligations. So, I mean, the whole budget process is all kind of just a game of best guesses, in my opinion. Any other questions? And I know at the last meeting, John had spoken a little bit to how we got here, so if there's any other follow-up questions to that, that's fine too. We good? Ready to, I will take them, you good, Gordon?
Yeah, I just didn't know if we should.
I didn't
do
answer
the-
your final question, did I?
I don't know. if we did or
I don't
not,
think I did.
Which was,
I don't know.
yeah, so let's assume you did.
I think you just backed up and started over and explained it, and I think it might have answered his question.
Okay.
So I didn't know if it made sense. One of the bullet points under the FY '25 budget is to budget evaluation, and that, to me, that my interpretation of that was that, just to make sure the whole committee is understanding that, based on the discussions we had with Liz and her team as a subcommittee, that, correct me if I'm wrong, Liz, that we think whatever the reduction is there isn't going to negatively impact the operation of the district. There's some roles not, or vacant now that won't be refilled, but we're working without that now, so it wasn't like we had to cut staff and things like that, so.
No.
That was where we drew the line and said, no, we don't want to cut staff. This is as low as we can manipulate the number. So,
Right.
yeah. Manipulate's the wrong word, but the number that makes the most sense operationally.
And to speak on just the school side, this is our job, is the schools. And I think people get nervous when they hear us talk. There is a school department and there's a town department. And people just need to remember that when we're out here, and it's not a fight, but we're fighting for funding for students and staff. Our contractual obligations and to provide instruction and curriculum and professional development and everything else that goes along, in athletics and everything else that goes along, in drama, and music and the fine arts and everything that we do for the district. And I think people think that, yes, I've heard this a lot of times, that there's a piece of the pie, your piece of the pie can only come so big. And that's fine, but I just want to make sure that people understand that when we go in and we work really hard to find the budget that works for the school district. When we're in meetings with, God bless you, with the town administrator and his department heads, we work with them and we work together and we collaborate to try to get to a pie that everybody can feed from and to work with. And not everybody's always happy when we get to the end. We are making this work. We are going forward. But I want to make sure that people know how hard that you worked, how hard that my team has worked, how hard the school committee has worked to get to a number. John and I do not always agree on giving back or getting more or what to buy first or what to pay forward or this or that. But that's what we're supposed to do. That's what the finance administrator and the superintendent are supposed to do. We must hash it out till the end for the best of the school district. And so when we got to this end and we got to this point, the decision, when I saw the FinCom number, that first day, my throat sinks into my belly and says, what are we doing here?
Right, I remember,
Yeah,
I felt
and-
the same way. It looked
right.
like we just got what we asked for.
Right.
We didn't do any work to come down or anything like that. Yeah,
And
no.
so it looks like
And
that.
that was, that
then
was
we had the
disappointing.
conversation.
Yeah, and then we had the conversation and realized, like, it wasn't,
And the conversation is not between FinCom and one person at the school district. They're a recommending body. And so my conversation goes with the town administrator, along with the chairs. John's conversation goes along with their finance administrator. And then the four of us get in a room along with the chairs and say, hey, where are we at and can we get this done? Melanie Dean was terrific to work with. John was great to continue to go up there and continue to work with her, and they continue to churn our budget into something we work with. So, we thank John and Melanie for getting in there, because they're the guys and gals who do the numbers. And then there's the teams who get out there and have these conversations together. So I just want people to know that we make things work, and I think as a town, we make them work very well.
So I guess I want to kind of look at it in this sense, and do we know what our expected enrollment will be for next school year? And we probably don't know that going in, but I'm hoping that we have an idea. Because I think what I want to make sure that we educate the town on is there's been a lot of work over the years by not only this school committee, but previous school committees that we owe a lot of gratitude towards for getting average per pupil spending up. And I just don't want to I want to make sure we don't go backwards.
Right.
And that we hopefully keep that number going forward, because I think we're all invested in, per pupil spending and so forth. So I just want to make sure whatever we're agreeing to is either in line with what our current kind of per pupil spending is, or at least advances it, because I don't think we ever want to go backwards from a per pupil spending standpoint.
Yesterday, the Commissioner of Education, the interim, Russell Johnson, did speak to this, and he spoke to the Student Opportunity Act. We got $46,000 in the Student Opportunity Act, which will take over, they'll start calling Chapter 70 Student Opportunity Act. We're in the 7th year of that. When it was designed to equal the playing field, where the urbans were getting so much money, and everybody else was
They
getting
still
whatever was left from the big 7, whatever it was left, we got. And they came up with this formula in the Student Opportunity Act and said, okay, you tell us where you're spending all your money. We have been doing that, and we have been going out, and in the next meeting, I'll have the Student Opportunity Act to be signed off on. We've been asking for like over $1 million because of ELL, our population, our Ls, and our special education population. And the things that we need to support those populations, that's where the added funding is needed.
Right.
And I don't want to take away, and I don't want to point at Lilia, I certainly do not want to take away from students who are on the other side of this as well, who want advanced classes, who want languages, who want music, who want the fine arts. I don't want to lose that side either. And I think that that's what, I think, Lauren, you brought that up at one of the meetings. That's our pie. So when people think that, you know, we're upset or I'm upset, I'm not upset. This is my job. My job is to get out here and to fight for this district and for the school district. So I'm gonna go and get as much as we can. Like you said, we don't want to go backwards.
Yeah, and
Whether it's 2,000 students or 1906.
And I think that in order to maybe help the
Yeah.
relationship and the conversation continue to move forward, if we frame it in that context of per pupil spending, maybe that'll kind of, hopefully, the light bulb gets a little bit brighter with regards to what we're trying to accomplish, which is obviously, you know, do the best that we possibly can for our students.
If we're gonna service the whole child, then you service the whole district. From social emotional learning, through advanced placement classes, to transitioning kids that are 20 years old who can stay with us till 22, and then we're offering internships for those students to go out and work in the job place. So I certainly hear you. I think the team hears you. I think that the subcommittee did a lot of work to try to figure out and understand how do we make this budget and how does it come to fruition. I think people learn a lot throughout this. We always learn a lot each year. And I think that the district, the team from the school side, we did a lot of work. I think Lauren going to the meetings, a couple of the department meetings, or that when FinCom was there, I think showed the patience and the perseverance of the school committee to say, we'll listen and we'll be a part of this meeting, but just understand, we're not gonna just back down because we are a piece of the town. And just talking about the big four, the police and fire and DPW and the school department, because we are the largest of the departments in the town, working with both chiefs and John Haynes is easy in the sense of being cordial and collegial and making a budget work for all of us. So.
If I could, without muddying the waters, not my intention. Having been through this cycle a number of times, I certainly agree with Superintendent Legault. Her responsibility, our responsibility is to make sure we're taking care of the students in the town. And that's the generation of the budget that comes through, all of the work that's done. Say, hey, here's the number, level services, however you want to call it, to keep things moving in this direction, which we think is a positive direction. Here's the number we need. And then there's the back and forth with the town. We do live in the town, and the town comes back and says, well, you know, we need it to be less. And so, to Liz's credit, and I think to our credit, we sat in a room and said, where can we reasonably change this number to come closer to the town's number? And correct me if I'm wrong, Liz, I think you met with the principals, you met with all your administrators, and there was a conversation beyond that. So, okay, if we give up this or we give up that or change this, and I think they were pretty much in agreement. Yeah, we can live with that and still produce what we want to produce. So there's a whole bunch of back and forth. It isn't that we sit in a room and say, that's our number and take it or leave it. It's, we listen to the town, but we wouldn't be doing our job if we weren't taking care of the students, because no one else is gonna worry about that, at least to this kind of detail. Certainly parents do, but we're the oversight. And I think the process, I think this is a good year. And one of the things I brought up in one of the meetings that I had with Mr. Seelig, you know, on a different topic, was that it would be nice if there were some sort of accurate minutes that reflect some of this effort, because what happens is history gets painted with a very broad brush, and people make accusations. Well, you guys never listen to us. You guys just put a number out there and you don't care what we say. It's like, no, that's not the case at all. And I don't know how we could do it, but, you know, just to have an accurate historical record. here's where we started, what's this, the town want, this is where we came in, and oh, by the way, I think since Liz has been here and her team in place, we have nailed the budget that we targeted and/or more than likely came in, you know, a few $1,000s less, which, again, speaks to their stewardship and watching those numbers and living with them. So the history, I think, has been pretty good. But, again, as we leave this board and whatever, those stories drift away. And then people just intersect, oh, yeah, no, you guys do whatever you want to do. And I don't mean to be so negative, but it's the fundamental piece of, hey, this is how it works. And we hear, you know, it starts with Liz and her team, that this is what we need to run the schools, great. And the town says, oh, we could be better if we could do less because of X, Y, Z. Do the best we can, put out a number, and I think that's where we're at. And I just think there was a lot of effort, and I thought a lot of give and take, and I'd like to think the bottom line of the story is a positive one. And I hope that gets reflected. Anyway.
I mean, you have a town budget of $60 million. They're giving us 26 million of it.
Well, with
Right.
half of that coming from,
Right, and
Chapter
half
70.
coming from Chapter 70, but we're still, there's other departments and other things that need to be done. So I feel that we're in a good place. Dr. Williams would tell you that the principals in those meetings would look at us and be like, oh, no, we need this and we need that. But what we tried to do is say, can we continue with what we have and continue to make the goals, the gains, and the strides that we are making today with what we have currently, and not to, and not to take away from what we have. That is my number one goal always. We have not, and we will continue and hopefully support. We do not want to lay anybody off. So,
I think the budget subcommittee is a tricky thing because I've been fortunate, I've been on it for the 2 years. So right, like I learned, made effort into learning, got in that information, but then also was present and to know this year, oh, okay, so this is how it went last year, right? Like I didn't have to rely on someone telling me. I could come in with my own memory and my own information. Hopefully the same thing for next year, right? But then with it being the subcommittee, it means that there's several people on the committee that then don't get to learn or experience that process as much. And then with turnover, to Gordon's point, right, like you lose a bit of that history of knowing what happened in that meeting with town or this meeting with town. So I guess I'm just pointing out, I think it's a tricky thing and I don't know how to solve it, right? It seems like everyone should be part of that. So maybe it's just about how we update throughout the process, the level of detail that gets provided in the larger meeting of the process. I don't know if that's part of the solution, because obviously we can't all be on the subcommittee, but it's just such an important, it is obviously one of the 3 major things we're responsible for, but to be part of that and to be able to bring that in year to year to year, I think also has bridged the dynamics with the town. And they're seeing the same players involved, and they're seeing us show up as active participants, and I think that made a big difference too.
I agree. And I think that when you're on the subcommittee or on the team, you can always call to ask to speak to John if you wanted to go through his model. What is it, what do you say, 177 pages of his model, to go through and to see each line, or go through and say, this is where pockets of money are for salary, curriculum, extenuating circumstances, and circuit breaker special ed. So that can be done too. And to your point, I think Lauren's probably going to bring it up on the mid-cycle review about some of the updating. Right, that could be part of that, so. Thank you.
On that note, I will take a motion to vote to approve the budget number going to town meeting. There is no action item, so we're gonna have to document this.
It's okay.
I'll take a motion to vote to approve the number for the budget that is appearing on the town warrant as $26,811,359.
26 million.
Million.
What did I say?
Thousand.
$26,811,359.
Second?
She said she would take a
Oh,
motion
move.
first.
Yeah,
Moved by Gordon,
yes.
seconded by
Me.
Scott. All in favor?
Right.
Okay, and, to Liz's point, mid-cycle review, Liz and I met last week. I think it was last week.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Do we need to go over this paperwork that John gave us? Oh, this was for the bus.
That's
Never
for the
mind,
buses,
never mind. I
that's
was thinking
later.
it was budget coming next. Never mind.
I had asked Liz for, some budget bullet points of some, items of progress towards the goals that we voted on earlier this year. And she sent that to me, and then we had a good conversation, reviewing those goals and how the different items she sent, fit into those. We talked about some things that are going well, some steps toward progress. And like you said, some strategies of keeping the committee informed along the way of progress. I think the example we used was, like professional development and conferences and things like that, that you attend. Sending an update more often, hey, I did this last week, and this is how it went, and here are some things that I saw that we could bring to the district and put into place, or some ideas and things like that. And then she could send that to the committee as an update, and then also include it in evidence later on. So there were some things like that, that we discussed. I think that's all I had, but yeah, there were some things that was like, okay, that works, and then there were some things that were definitely are making progress in the mid-cycle, because there's another year left, so, yeah.
I think from some of the workshops we've done on superintendent evaluation, one of the recommendations from MASC is that we just keep a file, and as you come across, or Superintendent Legault gives us, oh, hey, by the way, this is reference to my goal number 3 or something, just review it, put it in that folder, so when the time comes to do the summative evaluation, you can pull that folder out and go, oh, yeah, I remember this, and this, because.
Well, and Liz can also put it
It's going up,
in
it's
her,
being,
yeah.
we're uploading a
Yeah.
lot of stuff as we speak.
Oh, on the
And the
new
new
software.
software,
yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
And I can tell you that a lot of districts are using this. I think it's going to make it a lot easier for everybody.
I meant to ask at Charting the Course if they had experience with that. I meant to bring it up when we were talking about that part.
I can tell you, she's at the Seacrest this year, and she's.
I had a quick question about, one of the goals,
Make it sharp.
the budget one, the fiscal budget goal, because obviously this is mid-cycle for us, but the goal itself, the date ends for May 2024. So have we, I can't remember, I don't know that we had a plan, or what's the follow-up for the 2025, like the 2024, 2025 part of this goal? Because this goal technically by wording ends May 2024.
I think you have a budget we have a yearly budget, so you have a budget for 2024, and then you could do the same thing for 2025.
Next year, we'll be doing the summative evaluation in April of next year.
So I think, I don't know how this works, is it possible, does there an amendment happen to the way goals are worded? Because following this as it is, this goal is completed in May 2024 with no budget goal moving forward.
So we can amend it because this is the mid-cycle, and we got one budget for the 2024. Now that you're on a 2-year cycle, which we didn't have prior to this, now on a 2-year cycle, can amend and put the 2025 budget by May 20th,
Okay, so an amendment is
Or by-
possible.
or April 20th,
But it may not be finalized by April because,
Well, we would.
Yeah, it would be, the budget would be certified, and there
yeah,
would be
right,
conversations happening.
But then this is where people need to be careful then about the wording of the goals, because the goal would be completed if Liz got a budget passed at the town. So the wording of these goals matter here, right? That can't be the measure for the 2025 goal, that it's passed at town meeting, if we're doing an eval in April. So this is where those SMART goals really come in, that they have to make sense for what we're actually evaluating in a time period. So I think we just need to be real careful with how that is written when it's amended. So it's a fair goal. You can't judge her on something that won't happen.
Right,
for a
you're gonna
month
be doing
after.
it before the budget's actually passed by
Yeah.
the town,
But-
so it's not.
But you're looking for, right, so you would write it as, have an approved school committee.
Approved.
Yeah, so I
Approved
think
budget,
once you,
certified,
once you
approved school
amend
committee
it,
budget.
'cause you're gonna amend it anyway, so once you amend it, you could include that
Amend it now.
specificity in the language, if you want.
When is
Which is
this,
just my
We're on
point,
top of
right?
it.
My
Yep.
point is being careful about the
When is this
language
due
when the
next?
goals are written.
April of next year.
right, so maybe,
So we
did
could,
we, is there a possibility
we can just amend it right now and say,
but do we need to? Because this says finalize budget on time and pass at town meeting May of 2024.
right,
Maybe
wait
we
until
had some
that's
forethought
done.
that we couldn't do it, we couldn't make this for next May of 2025 because we'll have done it in April. So were we ahead of it then? We thought, were we planning ahead?
well, we could
That's not
say-
usually like us.
We won't say town meeting, we could just say that we have our school committee certified budget by,
Right.
well, it will be done before April.
Yeah, it has to be done so many weeks before the town meeting, right? Like
Yeah, this
6
year we
weeks
did it in
before.
March.
So we know that's the deadline. Well, we need to present it to the town, and then we certify it at the next meeting.
I just wonder if we must have, maybe we thought ahead and said, well, obviously, for what's due this year,
Right.
you would have the budget completed. But next year, if we're doing the evaluation in April, she wouldn't have had the budget completed. It'd be unreasonable to think she would. Maybe we planned for that, that's why this says 2024 on it.
That would be so lovely.
I'm giving us a lot
Concern-
of
The
credit.
concern would be that that means Liz, one of the
Only
major
has
things
two
we
goals next
eval
year, yeah.
Liz on, that means we have a 10, 11-month period of time where we are not looking at the budget as a goal, and that feels not
No.
good, right? Like,
We should just amend it to say,
I think that when, if we remember, we did the goals, and then it was, we didn't get it done. Right? And so now it's done, we've got 2024's budget done, we can amend it. You have to amend it today, you can amend it at the next meeting when you have some new members, and say, now it's the 2025 budget. I mean, it's the mid-cycle review, and when we're uploading the super eval, we've already uploaded the budget in there, you can go in and check off, completed 2024's budget review. That'll be in there. So that'll be a check off inside that super eval, and then 2025 amended, the superintendent will have have presented a certified budget by the school committee by April 2025.
Right, so the-
And I would put April 30th, 2025, just in case.
yes.
So the new, once we reorg and have a new
would think so.
superintendent eval subcommittee, that would be an upgrade that they would do. And now, as we probably get into a cycle of 2-year reviews, now it won't be so out of the ordinary for us to say, oh no, don't forget, the second year, we have to put in this language so that it's reasonable.
Maybe it's finalize the budget for 2024 and then present a presumptive budget for 2025. 'Cause
26, right.
well, yeah, because if we're
Right.
doing the evaluation in April, the budget doesn't pass till May, we can't make one of our goals to be a
Right,
time
but-
traveler.
No, but you're asking me to,
Pass presumptive. Like
right,
you
but you're
will-
asking me to get the team to have a certified school budget. That's what would go into that. Like, I
Right.
can't help if the town says, we don't like your certified number, and they come back, and just like this year, and we go back and forth. Because the school committee helps draft this budget, and the subcommittee is the one who brings it forward. We'll give you what needs to be done. I think, I get what you're saying, but I think it's having the certified school committee budget done by April 30th, 2025.
And that will be the model going forward. So the first year will always be
finalize it, and the second one's
Be
always
there by April 1st.
presented.
Right. Well, I think since we know what needs to be done, why, is there any good reason why we shouldn't amend it tonight?
Yeah, I would want to see it in writing.
Yeah, it needs, yeah, and
And there might be a
plus-
new budget subcommittee, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's fair.
Go draft that up.
I think it's fair to wait too for a new committee since we're so close to that anyway. I wouldn't want to vote on a goal for next year when I'm not even gonna be here to.
You can leave it. We're here all night.
Okay, we'll do it when we reorg.
Okay. All right, bus fees. Should we do transportation contract and bus fees all kind of together?
Sure.
At the same time? Okay. So you can do it in whatever order you feel makes
We'll
sense.
do the bus contract first.
Okay.
So in your package is the 51-page, copy of the 51-page invitation to bid that I publish on the state procurement
I thought you were
website.
gonna say my 51 pages of policy stuff.
So there's more than that.
So I publish it on Combis, which is the state procurement website, which goes out to every vendor that's registered for busing. I publish it in the Federal Register. I publish it in the newspaper, and I publish it online. We received one response to the bid. It was Lucini Bus Lines. And what I handed out today is a copy of their rate schedule. You can see it's a pretty significant increase. I was expecting a pretty a significant increase based upon what I've seen from other towns and other bus contracts, what they are receiving. Going from a daily rate of $410 per bus per day to $495. It's about a $190,000 increase. Also in your package is their response to the bid, which I've checked. It includes everything I have asked for. And I just want to make one note. If you look at page 20 in the invitation to bid, I added language. It's section 9-5. So this year, we've had a significant problem of not having enough buses. Instead of our contracted number of buses, 13, we've had 12, and we've had kids having to
Share bus.
share buses.
Yeah.
So, and in our old contract, we really had no way of resolution with Lucini other than saying you breach a contract, it's cancel the contract, and then you don't have a bus contract. So I added some language going forward, and it's at section 9-5. So I don't know if you want to take a minute to take a look at that.
I'm still searching for page, did you say page
Page-
20?
Page 20. It's on. It's in
Not
the-
that
it's in
form.
the
You're on the wrong.
It's in the bid specifications, invitation to bid.
Sorry, no wonder why I couldn't find it. Sorry. Got it.
And if you're reading it, you probably realize that I'm not smart enough to come up with that language. I worked with the attorneys on this language.
I thought it was you, every word was yours.
Do you think they're gonna push back on that?
No, because
already
They signed it.
Okay, great. 'Cause I think that's great that you.
Yeah,
that-
I do too.
I'm gonna say that you added it, I know, you said the lawyers
Well, it was
did.
my idea,
Yeah.
but it was,
No,
I needed
I
help
like
with the
it.
Well,
Given
that
the,
just, that gives them the motivation to always have proper staffing for their buses, or else it's gonna cost them on the back end.
Did they have any conversation about it? Like, did they, no? Wow.
How many times do you think that happened this year?
25 to 30 maybe?
So 25 to 30, and if the daily bus rate,
495,
how much?
495.
2,000.
Good job.
yeah, this
That's like
is,
15K.
given the troubles we've had this year and last year, this is key.
So no more bus age emails?
Not until tomorrow.
I got one today.
Not till tomorrow. So do you want to take a vote on this now, or is
It's
there?
already part of the
any-
contract, it's already been signed.
No, contract hasn't been signed, and I would like your approval.
We have to approve it first.
I have one question
Dave's
for John, because I wouldn't want to disappoint you if I didn't have one, but
None.
on the bid submittal form, if I'm looking at the right ones, this one right here, John?
Yes.
So under the first column, year one, shows annual cost, 1,158,300. But on this out of the town book, so to speak, that we're gonna get at town meeting, it says transportation 1,093,300, so it's like.
Right, so that's a $65,000 difference,
Yep.
which is the proposed increase in bus fees.
It was a
Which
trick
is the
question,
next thing
John.
we're
I'm
gonna
glad
talk
you-
about.
You responded properly, thank you.
With regards to those proposed bus fees, I just, I don't know if I have incorrect copy, but I just want to make sure those numbers are accurate, 250 and 150.
So during the budget subcommittee, we discussed ways of how we could reduce the budget. We took a look at the increase in the busing cost, and we took a look at the comparison of how we stacked against other towns.
Yep.
Busing fees, so we came up with you can see currently we're charging $125.
I guess my question would be, is there, for the third child, is there supposed to be a fee of $50? To have those three figures equal $450?
That's a mistake on my part.
I just want, so is the third child a $50 fee?
$50.
Okay, that's all.
No,
No?
the family cap is 400.
Okay, so that is.
Oh, okay, so okay.
So the 450 is the wrong,
Yes, the
okay.
450.
Just wanted to make sure, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
My first mistake in 7 years.
So do we,
That you caught.
Yeah, that anyone's fault.
so do we want to vote,
I was trying to give you,
do you have an action item on the bus contract with Lucini? Do we want to take that now?
sure.
We can check things off.
Are we voting on this, the proposed fees as well?
No, yes, that's a separate
Should
action
that be,
item.
That,
should that be first, though? Because if we don't vote for the proposed changes, that number John has, the 65, won't be correct for the budget.
But then we can just change the transportation line.
Well, the budget number is what it is. And the contract is what it is. So if you don't vote on the proposed bus fees, I will have to find another 65,000 elsewhere.
I meant it more like if we're getting 40,000 now and this is gonna get 65, if we decide, the numbers we come up with add up to 50, I don't want your numbers to be wrong about what you're asking for. But we can go either way.
But regardless of what we do with the bus fees, the bus contract isn't gonna change.
Right, but wasn't there a section that Gordon just noted, that John said the 65 and the fees was part of that?
That is the budget on the town warrant, the transportation line.
Okay.
All right, great. So, and that's what John's saying, he'll have to find another way to provide that money.
Okay, so this won't affect that, that's fine.
This won't affect the bus fees.
Great.
Right.
All right.
Are we not gonna vote to?
No, I'm looking for the action item.
They're together, right
Oh,
under.
are they together?
On the third page, sort of order of the page down, right after $12,000 to be deposited.
Proposed bus
donation.
fee increase
Yep.
and action required by, okay. I will take a motion to award the school bus transportation contract to Lucini Bus Lines for the term of September 1st, 2024 to August 31st, 2029.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Second,
second by Gordon, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and now we will talk about,
What about the one above it, for the bus
Yep.
fee?
we're gonna do we're gonna talk about the bus fees now, and we'll vote after that conversation. Okay.
So, like I said, we discussed this in the budget subcommittee. We looked at what other towns were charging. You can see from the list I provided, there are 2 towns that, as far as I could tell, don't charge anything. Carver being one of them. They have their own, they run their own buses. They don't contract out for busing. At the bottom of the list, you see Bridgewater Rainham. They do not allow pay-to-ride. They actually publish on their website A&A Metro. If parents and families need a ride to school and A&A.
They offer no busing?
No
They do
bus, no
pay-to-ride.
pay-to-ride. So pay-to-ride is for K through 6, under 2 miles, and all of high school under 2 miles.
Yep.
So they don't offer that in Bridgewater Rainham, but they do offer A&A Metro, which is a company in Bridgewater, to do that if families need it, and they charge $1,500 per child. So you can see what we are proposing, $250 for first child, $150 for second child, is pretty consistent with what other towns, and actually is a little lower than most towns.
Any questions? I saw you crunching numbers over here.
I don't love it, because I'm just thinking, like, if I'm a parent with 1 child and I paid 125, and now next year it's double. That's just how they're gonna look at it. I understand where your math is and how it compares to other towns, but it's a big jump for those folks. If someone has 2 children, they were paying 190, now it's 400, so it's double again for those folks, and that's just, there's just a lot of money out of people's pockets. And, I don't know if this is a great time to double fees like that. And I was trying to write up different things. I was saying, what if we did 150 for the first, and then, $100 for the second, and then 75 for the third, and that's a cap of 325, so it's a little bit less at all levels. I don't wanna screw up your numbers though, and the 65 you're counting on, but just thinking of the parents that are gonna see a double price for their 1 or 2 kids on the bus.
Well, they're our numbers. I'm just proposing, what other towns are charging. I mean, I hate to increase anything,
Yeah, no, I know.
but I would work with whatever you decide. There's gonna be definitely negative feedback on this.
Yeah.
Right, and we had talked about this earlier, there will be people who just opt out altogether on busing, which happens. Anybody else have anything they want to discuss on this?
And we did spend, I think, a good amount of time chatting this through in the budget subcommittee with the same reaction at first, and then getting to the point of, when we're having these conversations and we're talking about what would be options A, B, and C if we had to cut more, and what that would look like, right? And who would be affected, and how would the student learning be affected? That this was one area where, of course, everyone in the town who uses the buses is gonna be affected a bit, but it helped us to keep everybody where they needed to be to provide all the services we needed to provide to the kids. So it certainly wasn't, my experience of that conversation was that it was not done lightly, and if we could have not increased it at all, we wouldn't have, but we were literally playing with every penny in those conversations, and this was just one of the ways that we could try to help not impact student learning.
Yeah, and I don't take
Right,
the
and I'm not
numbers
saying that
lightly.
directly to you, I'm speaking to you
Yeah.
just because you asked, but, and then to anyone who, of course, would have thoughts and feelings about it.
I know whenever we say to take away the burden from parents, it means it's gotta come from somewhere else. I definitely know that. So I'm not saying my idea is right, and I don't wanna have to figure out where the money comes from somewhere else. I mean, we'd have to. I just think if I'm a parent and I've always paid 125, or even the last 2 years, all of a sudden getting that email, in June, that's gonna be 250, there's gonna be some calls. and they're not gonna be great.
And I said this in our meetings too, I wish we lived in a world where nobody had to pay to ride the bus to public school.
Yeah.
And nobody had to pay to play lacrosse or do marching band or any of that. It's public school. And that shouldn't determine people's opportunities. That's not the world we live in, unfortunately.
A possible approach would be to stagger it over 2 or 3 years, like go from where it is now, 125, go to 175 next year, and then to 200 the year after that, and then 250 the year after that, kind of thing. Again, that reduces that 65,000, and that's got to come from somewhere, so,
And that
again,
65
that's our
will look
job.
a lot smaller.
Yeah,
Well,
Three
in
years from
3
now.
years, yeah.
Because 65 now is gonna feel like 80 in 3 years, and it's gonna still
Yeah.
be short, so
And the fact of the matter is, you could be coming here next year, at the same time, having the same conversation,
Yeah.
regardless
What
of
if-
what we decide tonight.
What if we did, I don't know what the numbers would look like, John, if we, instead of doing 250, if we did 200, and then for the second child, instead of 150, doing 100, and that's still an increase from what we have now, and still keeping the 50 at the third child, and then increasing it the following year, or whatever, like, what, do you know what our numbers would be if we did that?
Yeah. It would. It would reduce that 65,000 to about 45,000.
So
So you'd have to find 20.
20.
how hard would it be for you to find 20,000? Or how easy?
If you find 20,000,
Why
can you
don't you
find
sum-
me 20,000?
Why don't you summarize your last 4 months?
Hey, why are you finding 25,000 when you find?
That was a look that will be burned in my brain.
If I could have easily found 25,000, we would have reduced the budget.
Right. Can
So-
we take any out of school choice?
We could certainly use school choice if we had to.
And it's only 20,000. I mean, I
Yeah,
know.
but we also use school choice for other things too. That's not the only thing coming out of school choice, especially now.
So did the budget subcommittee vote to approve these numbers? And that's what we're discussing?
Say that again?
I
Did
think
the
we did.
budget subcommittee vote to approve the increases?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think that a subcommittee labored over this prior in a smaller fashion, and now it's being brought to the bigger group, and that's where we're left with this discussion. I think if there's lessons that need to be learned, it's whether it's this or pre-K tuition, we've got to get a little bit more in line with what's going on in surrounding towns and in fees and so forth. We agree that we would love for there to be no fees for anything. There's no question about it. Unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. I think we've got to try to find our best possible way to make sure in these times that we're being as fiscally responsible as we possibly can. I agree with Scott wholeheartedly that that's a big jump from first child under current to proposed. So the budget subcommittee, I think, has done a really phenomenal job at putting together a lot of things. They've done a lot of hard work. I would think if we're, do we want to agree on a family cap, first of all? Is that $400 number accurate?
450? Oh.
No, it's
No,
not
we,
400.
Oh, right,
it's,
right.
yeah. I had a thought.
Which is
I forget what it was. It's gone.
on the lower end of the family cap, if you look at
Yes.
the surrounding towns.
Yes.
The per student, John, is that like, that's per student, like each student, like, doesn't matter family size, obviously, so if you look at that per student, if you have 3 kids in some of these, it's just multiplying that per student by that number, right?
So if you have 3 children, it would be the family cap, 400.
Right.
So the per student is the first student, I think is.
Per student,
So you're paying attention.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
yes, yes,
is that per student? That's first student?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so even if we're at the proposed 250, we're still somewhat in line. But I I think it's probably on the higher side, that we just want to be mindful of jumping it so far, so fast. And I agree with
Right.
Gordon that maybe we should step it, but I think we should, the foundation is there, and we should probably try to find a way to work within that foundation of the $400.
What if we did 200 for the first child, 100 for the second, that's 300, and then next year go 250 and 150, and then it's the family cap of 400? What do you think? No, maybe?
Well,
I think it's not gonna, I mean, go ahead, Gordon.
No, I was just gonna say, it's gonna be an increase no matter what, and they don't have the perspective that we do, not that, we just have a different way of looking at it than an individual family. So if we go up this year, and let's say we say, oh, we'll only go to 200, fine, okay. There's still gonna be an increase, and then if our plan is next year, we go to 225, they're gonna say, every year you're going up.
Right, we
now."
just did
So-
this, right.
That was actually a question I was gonna ask. How long have we been at 125 for the first child? It's been a couple of years, right?
I believe it's been ever since I've been here.
Yeah, as long as
I've
been
never
paying it, it's been
increased
that. So that, I think,
Right, they've gone down a
so
couple
part of our
times, right?
issue
Yeah.
is that
Well, we brought them down.
avoided yearly
Yes.
increases,
Yeah.
even going
We've
125.
reduced them over time,
So I
too.
think now it's kind of like,
Pre-K tuition.
now it's kind of the check is due. Because if you looked at this, if we were on this list, we're like right below the zeros.
Yep.
We're too
Right.
low. And now we're moving to like kind of middle, which is pretty good. It's just for the folks that have been paying it, all of a sudden they're like, what is this?
Right, it's the I mean, I'm gonna have to write that check myself, and the two, let me see if I can remember them both. The two things that I wanted to say were, one, this is not something that we took lightly at Budget Subcommittee. We were looking at everything and thinking, well, do we want to pay more to ride the bus, or do we wanna lay off a teacher, or not replace a teacher? You know, these are the conversations that we were having. And so none of us like this. But we thought we thought the other options weren't great either, and this was the preference. Also, I had it and it's gone. Oh, we talk about, stepping the increases. All signs point to next year being a harder budget year than this was. So I would not intentionally make that worse so quickly than it could be. No idea if that makes sense to anybody. So those were my two thoughts.
I kind of like your idea, to make it first child 2, second child 1, third child 1, family cap is at 4. It's the same family cap number, but it makes it, it's
Spreads it out a
$50
little
less for
bit.
the first child. So it's a little bit less, and then if you have that third and fourth child, and I'm basically saying this for myself, because I do have 3 that are gonna be on the bus, so I'm gonna pay the 4. So I'm saying this, basically saying I'm going to have to pay it as well. I'm not exempt from this, so.
So it's still gonna, even that's still gonna reduce the number, because obviously more families
Right.
have one
Yeah.
child than they have
Right.
up to 3. And I'm just curious along those lines, John, based on your graph here, or your grid, the per student going down that column, does that infer that other towns, you pay that no matter how many kids you have? Like 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, but you get, then the family cap kicks in?
Like Weymouth, you'd pay $255 for the second, and then I guess the third would be $100. That's how I think.
Oh, yeah, because you've got the family cap right there, yeah.
Unless there's a column missing that would say second student's $450, and then there's a jump, but.
I mean, we
So,
can guess, but
on all the other towns' websites, they don't have first
the
child,
breakout.
second child, third child. They just have
The
first student
And then a
and
cap.
family
Yeah,
cap.
that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So they don't
maybe
give
we
a
just-
deal for the second kid.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought that up about the being a hard sell to the parents, but the budget committee did the work on it. It's the number that works, and
Well, it's,
you're always gonna pay. And
It's
we've
still a
kinda had a few
difficult-
years where we didn't have an increase, and kind of.
And it's gonna be tough. And I know no one's gonna watch this meeting or know any of the conversation that we just had. And everybody will assume that we just decided this point blank, not point blank, but just on a whim.
Yeah, no, I probably just voted
It's just-
myself out of office. So we should have this conversation the 21st, but, you know, hey.
But it's just not, we put a lot of thought into it.
And the reality is our transportation budget just went up a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, like, it's not like the transportation budget didn't change.
Yeah.
And we're saying, we would like more money.
Yeah.
Right, like,
Right.
the budget went up a ton. And so, it just seemed like the timeline made sense for looking at
And-
what is being paid.
And another way to maybe look at it is we're providing a service that we aren't required to by law.
That's,
And we're providing it at, I think Gina said it was like $1.40 per day, where you see Bridgewater isn't providing that service.
Right.
And
Yeah.
to have a private company do it, they're charging $1,500 per
Right.
student.
Yeah, and this isn't, I mean, I think I brought this up last time. We're gonna get 65,000 for this, and it still costs $1 million for the bus.
Right.
Right, this isn't gonna pay for
Yeah,
the
we're not looking to
buses.
cut into that budget. It's just, it's a natural increase.
and I like the fact that you put the language in the contract, because if they're paying more and they're dissatisfied with their service, that's at least an offset. Hey, listen, we understand. So I think it's important that that was put into the language of the contract.
Yes, and that's something to bear in mind when when the feedback inevitably comes. That's definitely something
Yeah,
to
I have a
talk
question.
about.
So when that money, like, because inevitably it will happen at least once or twice, or who knows, that we're missing a bus. So that money won't come back to the district, it'll go back to the town in the general, it'll go to the general fund, correct?
no.
Is that standard language in every town when they do this?
Will that,
I don't know.
Because if I'm Lucchini, the clients that have that, they're getting their 13 buses. The one that don't, you get 11
Right.
today, sorry. 'cause
Yep.
they're
That was
costly. So I think we'll probably have no missed buses.
so you would hope that maybe some of that, what was it, how much did we say it was gonna cost if, you know,
$85 a day.
$495, does that go to reduce the costs of busing for,
It goes to reduce the cost of busing.
there you go. And whether that's for sporting or, you know, extracurricular activities, because we haven't even, that's a whole other part of busing, right?
Would we get that, so the money would come back and go into the revolving account?
No,
Just
the
a-
way the language works, it's just a reduction. in
Reduction in
expense.
cost.
Oh, okay.
All the discussion we had makes perfect sense, logical sense, reasonable, but at the bottom line, to your point, Scott, there's gonna be family that's gonna say, wow, you're doubling my fee.
Yep.
I don't care about all of it. The bottom line is, you're doubling my fee. So, I don't know how we get around that. Save,
That's, yeah,
try to gradually work into it, but that has its downside as well, too.
It's
So,
tough, because everything goes up every year. I mean, theoretically, we should have been 125 and then 140, and it should have been a
Right.
sliding thing. We didn't do that. We did it the other way. We kept it kind of stagnant for years and years, and now it's time to kind of have a big increase.
Right.
The good news is, theoretically, there won't be another big increase for a number of years. So we're not gonna be 250 next year, then 275, then 350. It's not gonna be like that.
Heavy on the theoretical.
Might be a
well,
big jump. And yeah, it could be, who knows?
And I think just to be prepared for some of those calls, John, be good to do the research and say, we haven't increased fees in 8 years. As a matter of fact, we've reduced them, 2 or 3 years, 5 years ago, whatever it is, whatever the number, whatever the background is. Again, it won't take the whole sting out of it, but again, it's part of the whole picture.
Right, I think it would be good for a letter to go out to parents, explaining.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not a
I think in the
surprise,
letter that goes out, that's announcing the
that
bus
in
fees that we get every year, that information should definitely be included. That's a good idea.
communication.
Obvious
is key,
idea, and I don't know why we didn't think of it.
Along with communicating clause in the contract, I think is very important.
Yeah, I think it's good to add that in there too, because a lot of people, to your point, are gonna be like, what the heck? The bus service has been crap for 2 years and now I have to double my fee.
Yeah.
So it's really important, I think, to
So are
include that in
we
the letter.
sticking with the 250, 150, 0? Are we talking about some form of 200, 125, 75? Or Ellen's 200, 100, 100? Where are we at? Let's get the rubber to meet the road here.
Somebody had to make a motion.
Celtics are wrong.
Celtics are on.
I mean, I think think we talked about earlier, if we did that 2-1-1, that's gonna cost us a lot of money, because most folks aren't in the cap zone.
Yeah.
They have 1 or 2 children. And as much as I don't wanna pass any fees on to parents, I'm basically just passing it right back to the schools if I
Right.
don't, so it's gonna come from somewhere. And it's gonna come from someone losing a position or one less member of your team, Jay, and we don't want that, so.
Well, I would make the motion, we approve them as presented,
I will second.
and then we'll see how the vote goes, so.
So Gordon has moved for the school committee to approve the proposed bus fee increase as described in this document with the amendment of the $400 family cap.
And that's 250 for the first child and 150 for the second
Yeah,
child, yeah.
do we have a second?
I seconded.
Peter seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have a new club request. You have a letter from Principal Silva to Superintendent Legault. Do you want to speak to this? I mean, the letter speaks for itself.
Yeah.
It's not. Is there any discussion, any questions?
The only question or that I would have is, like, I've learned from Gordon, like, is there a process that needs to happen? Has all that process been followed through with this type of stuff? If that's the case, then I'm fully for approving this. There's no questions about it. But I just don't know what the process is for that.
So we went through clubs about 4 or 5 years ago, and we got rid of a lot of clubs that had nobody,
No members.
no members. And we were still paying out the fee, or we weren't paying out the fee.
Right.
The principal vets the program or the
Sure.
club. The Unified Sports Club is a necessity.
Yep.
It's for total inclusion, and it's who we are here at East Bridgewater. So that's how we vet it. We had a great, they played soccer, they played basketball this year, they went and played in 2 jamborees. One we had here, one was at Abington.
Abington, yep.
And I think they're getting more and more involved, and I think Cam Fox is one of the coaches.
Head coach, yep.
And I think they want to get, right, and I think they want to get more involved in the Special Olympics as well. And some of the,
Yeah, they want to do some fundraising pieces
Yeah.
to it as well. So to be able to do fundraising, they need to form as a club
Right.
instead of just, as a sports.
My friend's son ran his last race today for Framingham, and he just glows about the experience of it, so I couldn't be any more in favor of it. I think it's an incredible event and fully for it. And
Jamboree, when we did the last jamboree was our basketball one here, and it was absolutely well-attended by families, by players, by
staff.
staff. It was incredible. Really was incredible.
I think, I don't, Ellen may know this off the top of her head, I don't know if in our policy handbook or policy manual, so to speak, there's a policy in there that says clubs must be approved by the school committee, and that's
When it comes along
simple
with
and
a stipend.
straightforward.
it comes along with a stipend.
We've
Oh, it
all-
does?
Yeah.
So because you oversee the budget, you oversee the stipend, that's why it's coming to you.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
No, I think it's a great idea.
I will take a motion to approve the creation of the EBJSHS Unified Sports Club.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Ellen, seconded by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up, we have PTA donation acceptance.
Oh, never mind.
There's a few of these, so I want to make sure. So this one is
just flick this twice to get the clip off. It's photo. That's the thing I'll admit.
So this is the PTA donation of $12,000 to help defer the cost of field trips. Any questions or discussion?
No, I
That's a big
appreciate that
number.
they do that.
It is a
Yes,
big
I-
number, yeah. And they've been busting their butts on, teacher appreciation this week too. All the PTAs and PTOs have been.
Yes. I move that we accept the donation from the Gordon W. Mitchell School PTA for $12,000.
Second.
Moved by Ellen, seconded by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
And next, we have donation from the Kiwanis Club of $1,000 to be deposited into the Summer Enrichment Program's Scholarship Donations account.
Also very generous and nice of them.
It is very generous, yes. Questions or discussion?
No, I think it's great. I move that we accept their $1,000 donation from the Kiwanis Club.
Moved by Ellen,
Second.
seconded by Becky. All in favor?
Aye.
And we have a donation of $250 from the East Bridgewater Education Association to help provide scholarship assistance for eligible junior, senior high school students to attend dynamic summer programs.
That's very nice of them also.
It is.
What would a dynamic summer program be?
Could be anything.
So
Gotta be dynamic.
Traditionally, in the past, it's been PCC. However, over the past several years, Bridgewater State University has offered a number of summer programs, STEM programs,
Okay.
science programs, so we broadened the topic just so that it could fit under a number of different offerings.
Which is good, because
Okay.
just yesterday they announced that PCC isn't happening this summer. So that's sad,
Yes.
but also good that the definition of this has changed.
I move that we accept the EBEA donation of the $250. I think that's very nice of them. Very generous.
Moved by Ellen,
Second.
seconded by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Now the fun stuff.
Well, nope. We
One
still
more.
have Mrs. Rinker. We still have Mrs. Rinker. Mrs. Rinker is requesting to hand her daughter, Rachel, her diploma at graduation. I'm assuming, any
moved.
discussion, questions? Yeah, moved. Okay, moved by Scott, seconded by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations to the Rinker family. And before let's just do all of the non-policy related action items and get them taken care of before we get launched into this one. I will take a motion to approve payroll warrant 43PS dated 4/24/2024.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Second.
seconded by Gordon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Peter abstains. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from the school committee meeting of April 23rd, 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Second.
seconded by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And are you,
No, I'm just curious, of the payroll warrant that we just approved, and there's a invoice warrant, do we have an original copy that we all have to sign?
it's going around. I
Going
haven't
around?
signed it either yet. I
Oh,
don't
okay,
think.
great. Thank you.
I'll take a motion to approve accounts payable warrant number 44 SV dated 5/1/24.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Second.
seconded by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let me, okay. We did the PTA, we did the Kiwanis, we did the EBEA. We're doing policy, I just want to make sure we've covered,
I have them all checked to
Yep.
BBAA.
and then there's no one here for public comment. I'm just going to address that right now. Okay,
So, going on to the
Yep, you're up.
Okay, so on BBAA, School Committee Member Authority, the second page is now in there. I don't know how they got, I don't know how they went missing the last time. And then on BBBA, BBB, there's 4 Bs. So the first one was School Committee Member Authority, the second one's School Committee Member Qualification, Oath of Office. That one is, there was a question on the last, at the last meeting that asked about, who the person is. Let me see, let me just go to that.
Who
Yeah, it
keeps
was
the
from a
record of it?
municipal or, yeah, who holds the
Yes.
record, yep.
So, when in speaking with the attorney, she advised me that, so it's not specific for public records request. However, the attorney stated that the administrative assistant should keep the oath of office that we as committee members sign at the town hall, to keep it on file here. Also, even though town hall has it on file, to keep it on file here, for, she said 3 to 7 years, I said 7 years, it's whatever the MGL is.
So that would be actually the school committee clerk.
No, I asked her, I actually
You
asked her
said
about.
administrative
Oh, it would be,
assistant, though,
well, yes,
which
so,
is Mike.
yes. So it would go, and then it gets filed, it would be filed in the filing cabinet.
Right, I understand that, but this says school committee secretary, and that's also a role on the committee, so I'm worried
So,
about
at what-
confusion.
I actually asked and I questioned the attorney about this, and she
Okay.
said it would be the administrative assistant.
Okay, maybe because it's little s, not big S. Secretary,
Maybe.
So the word secretary in this means administrative assistant?
yes. Yes, that's
That's what the attorney
Ellen
said,
is
because I
saying.
questioned her. She said the administrative assistant should just file it. I think it's redundant because the town hall has it, but
I do too. Okay, so that's BB,
and then
but then
and
the
then
school committee member,
BI,
yeah, well,
oh, sorry.
so the BBB, yeah, this, well, let's look at this, because we didn't have the second page in here before, and now we do. I just don't, these are pinned together, so I don't want to lose them.
Sure.
So it looks like the town just, the change,
It has 9 and 10, that was what was missing before.
oh, that's right,
9 and
okay,
10.
yep.
I'm sorry, which one are we on? The IBA?
BBAA, I went backwards, sorry, because we just kind
BBAA.
of skimmed over it. But yeah, so now the 9 and 10 are there, so we
Yes.
see them, and they're there, and okay. So this one,
And then BBBA, BBBB, BBB.
yep, we just did that one.
Okay. And then BIBA, that one, the MASC version was missing, but it is in your packet right now. And all they changed, it was school committee, they changed it from shall to will. And then the updated is just changed. That's it. It just changed, it's this page here, this one, BIBA. See which,
Yeah. Yep, I checked it.
that was it, that was the only change, that was minor.
Is there any way going forward if we can have like the blue one as the leading one every single time? They go back and forth between,
Well, it has, so there's the blue, and there's the black one,
right?
and then there's the blue, this should be MASC's version, and then, let me see, and this is ours, this should be ours, yep, East Bridgewater, and then MASC's version, and then the school committee, our version,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Maybe it's just the way it prints out of the copy machine, I don't know.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion on these 3 policies that we've just looked at, that are in this packet?
I'm struggling a bit with the wording not being accurate, and maybe I need to just get over it, the attorney's been involved, but that seems like something to me, so if I personally choose to say no, that doesn't actually change anything, right, in this
Choose to
vote?
say, no, it wouldn't
With the
change,
secretary being, it's,
it wouldn't change anything.
yeah,
Because
because I guess I'm just personally struggling a bit with that not being,
So if you voted no,
it doesn't change a thing
there's
with
the other
everybody.
4 of us that are
Yeah.
not feeling as strongly
Feel
as
pretty
you.
strongly about the wording.
That's fine,
I'm gonna do my thing.
I respect it.
Thanks.
So on that note, I'm gonna do these as we go, so that we don't end up, okay. So the first one, I will take a motion to approve the proposed changes of the school committee policy, BBAA, school committee member authority.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Second?
second by Peter, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Becky, is that the one you didn't like?
No, I'm fine with that one. It's the
Okay.
qualifications.
Oath of, yep, you're right, okay, so all in favor for that. I'll take a motion to approve the proposed changes to the following school committee policy, BBBA/BBBB, school committee member qualifications / oath of office.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Second?
seconded by Peter, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Opposed by Mrs. Fiddler. And I will take a motion to approve proposed changes to the following, to the school committee policy, EIBA, school committee conferences, conventions, and workshops.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alan, second by Peter, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then DJE on the
Oh,
next.
hold on, hold on. Oh,
I like your attitude.
I know, I appreciate the forward momentum, Ellen. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so DJE is not ready to be, have anything done with it yet, because I was waiting for the attorney to get back to me about it, and she got back to me late today, and then I contemplated bringing it here, but then I didn't want to rush through it, and I figured it's better to take our time with it, so it will come to the next meeting.
So we're gonna table this.
DJE, yes.
DJE for now.
Is this gonna be the exact same thing we're gonna get, though?
No, no,
Just, I'd love to
Possibly
not
not.
waste so much paper by
nope,
printing this again.
possibly not.
'Cause I think this is a trade.
Paper budget down.
That was the issue.
There's the 65K for the buses
Do we
right
have to
there.
vote to table it?
Printing.
We're just gonna mark it as tabled, okay. All right. And,
Yeah, I needed to call the attorney back on that one.
so we've done these ones. We did this, all right.
Do we want to go through section C? This is the second reading of section C that everybody wanted to take and read when they, because last meeting
Yes.
was the first read.
Thought these were pretty straightforward changes, nothing substantial.
I had a question about one. Well, are you gonna be going through?
We can start with CA?
I had no question about that.
No?
We want to just go through and see if anybody had questions one by one?
Does anybody have any questions on CA?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Any questions on CB?
So CB, the regional part doesn't pertain to us, so it's crossed off.
Right, yep.
No questions from here, from this seat.
Good on CB. CBD.
There was just one minor change, it's just to
Yep.
cross out and protect instead of and will protect.
No questions there from me. I don't know about the angry lady on the end over there.
Don't mess with the words.
CBI.
Good by me.
Yeah, nothing.
Peter, you good with CBI, or are you still reading?
Good.
Okay. ACB.
I hate to even ask this question, but I'm confused. It looks like what they're doing on the third paragraph, after most purposes, they're gonna put a comma and then but, whereas in the original, there was a period after purposes and then a capital B for but. That's the change.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
someone who likes grammar got to these policies
Right.
at some point.
So that
Becky,
was
is
the only
this good for
question
you?
I had.
Oh, good. Grammar's not my thing. I
Okay.
rely on
Just the
someone else.
words. It's just the
It's the
words.
words that matter to me.
All right, so everybody's good with CCB. I'm gonna,
Put a comma where you want.
CE,
No changes on that, right?
just
the,
the bottom part
yeah.
updated and stuff like that.
Good.
Same for CH.
CH, yep, you're right. CHCA, approval of handbooks and directives.
This was, I'm always reminded of this at the charting the course, where they remind us that the handbooks have to be approved by us, because they're an extension of our policies.
Yep.
So, okay. And I think this is what that says, it's essential that contents of all handbooks conform to school committee policies. So, okay.
So I actually have a question. If a policy is launched mid-year that would go in the handbook,
Well, it depends on what the policy is, because the handbook would be humongous if we had every single one of our.
no, I understand that, but if if a policy that would be added to the handbook this round, say, to be published for the 2024, 2025 school year, is implemented in the middle of the year, does that have anything to do with us? So like, it would be included, I assume, in the handbook that we approve come spring, or, early summer or whatever.
I think they just
Do
end up
those-
adding it when they do the revision of their, of the handbook.
So it would be good if there was like any additions to the handbook, that would be like a separate part that we would then vote on.
And we don't have that many policies, like our bullying policy's in there.
So I guess what I would want for you guys to have a clear understanding of is which pieces of the handbook we approve and which pieces of the handbook that we don't.
So we don't, okay, so when the student handbook, when the handbook comes to us, we don't vote on it per se. So this is something that I talked to Jim Hardy about a few times, is that they show it to us, we look at it, if we have an issue, we say, hey, blah, 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 whatever the problem is. But it's like we're voting on it without actually voting on it. It's like voting de facto. It's like, do you know what I mean?
Thought we vote on changes.
Right, we vote on the changes, and we look at the whole thing.
How often is a handbook changed in the middle of the year?
Never.
If there's an update that needs to be updated, then we would bring it to you, but most of the time, everything that is updated, like our bullying policy, you updated it here. You supersede any handbook that we have. So if a handbook is written, and it's, the bullying policy is in there, and you changed our policy here at school committee, you supersede what is in that handbook. The policy of the school committee is the governing body of the school district, which overarches and oversees the handbook.
So the review of the handbook is for the purposes of ensuring that the handbook aligns with policies.
And it comes in, usually, we get it at usually we get it at the end of the
The end of
school
the
year.
year, yeah.
And there was a couple of times that our attorneys had the high school book. That's the one that gets, if there's anything that gets changed most of the time, or any of the time, it's the junior, senior high school, mostly for high school.
So like there's the 7th grade cell phone policy, that would be included in the next go-around that we would have to approve. Am I understanding that right?
That's my understanding.
Well, it's not a
Was-
policy right now, it's a pilot.
Pilot, okay.
And I think having conversation with Mr. Silva, I think and it takes a while, he'll get the hand of that. I think he said this is gonna be our policy going forward, and I think people took it that and ran with it, and I know he got a little bit of flack from it by, so.
The words.
Well,
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
in the
the
student
thing.
handbook, they
Pay
might
attention
have
to your
more
words.
procedures in their handbook than, and ours is
try.
an overarching policy.
Try. Read the forward agreement.
I have no comment on that one.
So CHCA, we left off
So
at.
we're okay with
Yes, CHCA.
How have you know?
Is everybody happy with the CHCA?
Yep.
I'm really happy with that.
You already know it.
CM. I'm sorry, what, Ellen? So sorry.
CM?
CM, we're on now.
Oh,
And
this
the
is the one I
regional-
had a question about.
This, and so the regional at the bottom is crossed off because it doesn't pertain to us.
Okay. My question about it is, where does this go? Have we seen one before? Like, I don't recall seeing this report before, but it says that it's presented to the committee, and then it gets made available to the public. So my question was that, you know, like, if we've not, I don't remember seeing it, but maybe it's been presented in
Is this
some
the one
other-
that I wrote?
Isn't this the one that goes in the town?
The one that goes in the
Oh.
town report?
Town
Okay,
report.
except it says the superintendent's supposed to write it.
And then it says it's
And I
presented
write
to the
one too.
committee.
Oh, you write an additional one? Okay.
So
There's two of
you,
them.
so you write it, superintendent writes it,
Then we're supposed to
but
see
the,
it.
but the piece that I'm focused on is that it's presented to the school
To the
committee.
school committee, right, and I didn't send my report to you guys,
Okay, you're out.
mostly because I slid it in. Oh, no, I'm out? Mostly because I slid it into Mike right at the last minute. Because I wasn't familiar with the whole procedure.
Yeah,
So that's just something to bear in mind.
gotcha. So this is just a moving forward, just
Yeah.
keeping it in mind that we do.
Yeah, could you
See that.
send us a copy of that before the town meeting, just so we have a heads up?
Michael.
Imagine
Mike.
Right on top of that, Rose. Yeah, no, I can do it.
I get
No,
where you're
it goes
going
into
with
it.
Gordon.
It
She's
goes in the-
assigned you work, you're kind of like,
I can do
hey.
that
Well,
easily.
it goes in the
Good for
annual
you,
town
Gordon.
report.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but he
Town
wants to get a
warrant.
preview.
Mike,
wants to see
Mike
it.
can
It's not
send
gonna be in
it.
the town warrant, it's in the.
Easily
annual
just
town
send that.
Right, but they hand that out at town meeting too. Or they used to, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's coming from us, I'd like to know what it is before it hits the floor, so to speak.
I guess it is.
Okay?
All right, CM,
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm good with CM.
everybody
Right
else?
now.
Good point, Becky.
Thank you. I know, in the whole,
Oliver
in the
roll.
10 years
The
I've been
angry
on the
lady in the
committee.
corner.
In the 10 years I've been, or maybe in the 10 years I've been on the committee, we just wrote it, sent it to the town, it got printed.
Write yourself
Well,
up. You
yeah.
also violated a policy.
Ten
So
years-
now,
10 years they've
when we
been
know
wrong.
better, we do better, right? So there we go.
You're on a pip.
CHA/CHC, Development and Dissemination of Procedures.
The procedure can,
They just took out the last paragraph and added the 2 lines below it.
Okay. It's good by me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Distributed to the group prior to the effect, oh, yep.
okay.
Good on that one? And C,
Sounds like just a date change.
CL. Oh, yeah. Why is CL being removed?
Removed as unnecessary.
Why is it
Saying it's
unnecessary? Who decided it was unnecessary?
MASC. Let me go.
Why? I'm just curious, I just wanna know.
And it's not attached to any MGL either,
I don't know.
because there's no Mass General Law mentioned at the bottom of the.
I mean, I guess it's redundant because it's,
We already
these
do
are,
this.
these are included in other policies.
Right.
Okay. And what was the one that, I think I skipped one.
In
Yeah, but
policy
just the
absence,
data.
CHD.
Oh, okay. So we're good. All right.
And that's it,
So that's it. So we tabled,
all of section C.
With our votes, are those policies now accepted, right? We don't have to have a third reading?
No third reading,
You
Okay.
accept
but we need to, we should, well, we didn't have an official vote. so
right,
we
we're gonna do that as soon as everyone's ready. That was tabled,
DJ,
correct?
yep.
Yep. All right.
And then I will not be bringing any policies back,
Gonna
Ever.
policy
Least-
vacation.
probably, yeah, at least not until the last meeting in June, but then
She
I'd
doesn't
rather not,
have to
unless,
do them one by
it
one.
probably won't be until August.
She can
Unless
collectively.
we have a July meeting, but I don't know.
That's right.
We'll see, I don't know.
For those of you who haven't had
I
the
don't wanna-
great pleasure of going through the entire stack of our policies, Ellen and I have, the only thing I would recommend is just be aware of the categories. You don't, obviously don't have to know all the policies, but there's a policy about school committee, there's a policy about finance, there's a just to know that
I
there's
learned a
those
lot
sections.
going through those
Yeah.
policies. There's
Yeah.
a lot in there. I learned a lot going through these policies, even just reading
Yeah.
them beyond the changes.
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I think it's just good to know how it's broken out, all the CBs and ABs, and, but they're by those basic sections. And so if you had a question on, hey, school committee, it's in there. So somewhere in there is probably the thing you're looking for, so.
So what we can do is vote on these.
As written. To move to. Want me to make-
One annoying point of order, I would like us, we can take the one vote, but I would like to read the titles of the, because we just went through this packet, and we just read letters that mean nothing to anyone. So I think it would be good to at least read like policy CA, administration goals, whatever. Read them all, and then we'll vote on one. We'll do one vote. Okay.
Nicely done, Mike.
Want me to do it?
If you want, yeah.
Sure. I move that we approve the changes to CA administration goals, CB school superintendent, CBD superintendent's contract, CBI evaluation of the superintendent, CCB staff relations, CE administrative councils, cabinets and committees, CH policy implementation, CHCA approval of handbooks and directives, CM school district annual report. And then, do I want to go to the next?
I think you gotta do.
No, let's do that. We'll vote on that, and then we should do the other two real quick
I just
separately.
moved it.
Seconded by me. Moved by Ellen, seconded by me. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then, I move that we approve new policy CHA/CHC, development and dissemination of procedures, which, that was merged policy CHA and CHC.
Second.
Moved by Ellen, seconded by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I move that we remove, the following policies from the policy manual, CHA, CHC, and CL.
So moved?
Moved by Ellen,
I move.
Second.
seconded by Gordon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't think
Thank
we
you,
did,
everybody.
I don't think we did BBAA, BBBA.
Oh, we did that earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, okay.
That was the first one we did.
And then DJE will come back around hopefully
Yep,
next.
next time. And I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved by Scott.
You moved it.
Second?
Anybody gonna, seconded by Becky? All in favor?
Do we have any discussion?
Yes, I would
Do
like to.
you have
I
any
would like to
discussion,
say-
See
Gordon?
that, yes.
Hold
I
on
was
a
gonna
second.
say-
My discussion is, thank you for all of your hard work, Lauren. I really
Oh, thank
appreciate it.
you.
And it was enjoyable working on the subcommittees with you last year and the year before, when you were on subcommittees with me.
I feel like you're lying, Ellen.
No, I'm not lying. I did enjoy having you on.
Rebuttal.
It wasn't always fun, was it?
Well, we had to hash things out, and it
We
was a
did.
learning curve for you, too.
We did, and I have enjoyed working with all of you as well. What? No, I'm not lying. No, I've been thinking a lot about this lately, and it's been a good group. And I hope that any momentum that we've been able to accomplish this year continues in the next year. So thank you all.
I think
Thank you. I hope you enjoy all the extra time you have with your family and kids and
it gets
everything.
eaten up quickly.
I just want to see my kid hit his first home run, that's all. All right.
Yeah, there's so much work that's being done by the committee in general, but then when you take it to the next level and you're the chair, like, wow, okay.
It's a
so-
miracle I'm still
And it doesn't,
employed.
unfortunately, you don't do it for the recognition. God, I hope you don't do it for the recognition.
That was a failed experiment, if that's the case.
But it is, for those of us in the know, it is appreciated, and you're the one, at the point of all this, and sometimes it's not a comfortable place to be, but thank you for handling that responsibility so well.
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you so much.
Not for the money, yeah.
Not,
Now, can we adjourn the meeting? We have to vote, though. Did we vote?
okay,
We didn't vote,
Okay.
no, we didn't vote.
second.
We all voted.
Vote.
We voted. But we need to make sure, let's make sure the